Last Showgirl was one of the most hyped films going into the Toronto International Film Festival, as it stars Pamela Anderson playing a much older showgirl that has to kind of figure out what she's going to do with her life once the show she's been working in for 30 years is actually canceled, and the whole movie is just about her trying to figure life out. The film is directed by Gia Coppola, who is Francis Ford Coppola's granddaughter, and this is the first film I have actually seen from her, so I don't really have too much to base this off of in terms of her filmography. And I'll just say right off the bat, walking out of this, it didn't really sell me on checking out a lot of her stuff immediately because the movie is not that good. And that really sucks for me to say because I do think The Last Showgirl has a small handful of incredible things about it. Growing up, I had quite a few family members that worked in casinos, so I'm pretty familiar with the types of personalities that come with doing that kind of work. And I will say right off the bat, Jamie Lee Curtis is absolutely incredible in this movie. And I have given her a good amount of shit over the past few years, ever since she won the Oscar for Everything Everywhere All at Once, one of the most undeserving wins maybe of all time in any award show. But she plays a waitress on a casino floor here, and she just kind of reminded me of my aunt, if I'm being honest. Like, I thought she nailed that type of character and that type of personality and all their little quirks so perfectly that I wouldn't have a problem with her winning an Oscar for this. I think she is so damn good in the movie, and that is such a disappointing thing to say because she's barely in the entire story. My Letterboxd review was literally, if this movie was about Jamie Lee Curtis instead of Pamela Anderson, I think it would have been one of my favorites of the entire decade because I think the character is well written. I think Jamie Lee Curtis absolutely annihilates every single line of dialogue there. And filmmaking just requires a lot of things to go right. So when you have a team of collaborators that just know how to nail a certain thing and it's just magic, it's something to appreciate. And I really think they nailed this character well, and I have no idea why they didn't pivot to making the whole movie about this character, because instead we focus on Pamela Anderson, who a lot of critics are praising for her performance in here, and I think she was just fine. Like, the way some people were tweeting about her performance, you would think she gave the performance of the decade. Like, it was unbelievable what people were saying about her in this movie, and I don't want to say she's bad, because she's not bad. I think objectively speaking, she is fine to maybe solid in the role here, but the performance did not live up to that hype that a lot of people are building, at least for me. And I think a lot of that has to do with the writing of her character. She just seems so underwritten with not too much to do. But at the same time, Jamie Lee Curtis has way less screen time, and she just feels like she fully understood the character she was trying to portray, versus Pamela Anderson's kind of just playing Pamela Anderson. And going back to the writing, I mean, it's not just necessarily the writing of the character or the writing in terms of her dialogue. It's a lot to do with how this entire story just feels very undercooked. Like, there are times in this movie where it feels like we are getting literal minutes of Pamela Anderson walking around Vegas, whether it's in front of the lights of a casino or just in a barren wasteland of Vegas, or she's on top of a rooftop and you see the strip skyline in the background and there's music playing, or there's a voiceover of her saying how life is hard or whatever. It's just not that much here to talk about. And by the time the credits rolled around, all I could think about was why movies take so much more time to make than something like a piece of content for the internet. But with something like a film, if there's filmmakers that really care about the project and want to make something that's truly great, you make sure that your idea is as developed as it possibly can be. You need to let the idea cook in the oven just a little bit more. You know, you need to add a couple more story elements to your really good idea to make a great movie. And I just feel like if the film had gone through 4 or 5 more drafts in the screenwriting process and made the decision to put a bigger emphasis on the Jamie Lee Curtis character, we would be easily talking about one of the best picture contenders of the entire year. And even though I do feel pretty negative about the film overall, one more thing I want to talk about is Dave Bautista here, because he is somebody that continues to impress me, and he's proven that he could be that loud, intimidating type of character in a lot of roles already, but this is the first one where he feels much more quiet. And we've seen him kind of do that before, like Blade Runner 2049. He starts off kind of quiet like that, and then he ends up being a Dave Bautista type brute. But in here, the entire time, he just plays a completely different character than what we've seen from him. And I thought he was also really great here. I don't think the performance is necessarily Oscar worthy, but I do think we are one Dave Bautista performance away from him winning an Oscar sometime in the next 10 years, because the dude is super talented. And even though him and Jamie Lee Curtis are absolutely incredible in this film. I really do wish I could say the same about the rest of the movie. If this feels like a shorter review than usual, it's because this is a segment of a much larger video that I've put on the channel already, kind of reviewing my entire experience of the Toronto International Film Festival this year. I saw about 37 movies, which is absolutely crazy, and I talk about all of them in that video. Some of these are the biggest Oscar players of the year, some of them are the best horror movies of the year, whatever it is. We talk about a lot of movies in that video, so a link to that full video will be in the description here. But if you just want to see the shorter reviews that keep coming out over the next week or two, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of those reviews that drop. This is also all of my social media right here, so if you want to follow me on Letterboxd, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is, I check the Letterboxd the most. I haven't been as active on this because I've been working on this video and so many other projects over the past month, but I love talking about movies on there, so if you want to keep up with what I'm watching, be sure to watch that. Also, shout out to Reed for being so patient with me and helping edit all these videos and getting all these exports out. So if you need help with any editing at all, be sure to hit him up. He will absolutely help your videos out a ton. Be sure to like these videos, whether it's this video, the Long Toronto video, they all help me out a ton. It helps more than you think. I know a lot of people ask for you to hit the like button, but it helps me pay Reed to help me keep editing these videos. So if you won't like it for me, like it for Reed. And be sure to comment down below. Have you seen this movie yet? If the film has come out, what did you think of it? If it hasn't come out yet, are you excited for it still? Did my opinion change? I mean, this outro is going on the end of all my videos. So with this specific movie, I don't know if I loved it or if I hated it, but you know what? At the end of the day, a day talking about movies is a good day. So I'd love to talk to you in the comment section down below. And that is it for me. So this is Chase. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I hope you have an awesome day. Thanks.